Hey everybody, it's Taylor of Summer Del Sol here. Thank you so much for joining me again. I'm excited to kick off the third video of the 4-part series of tearing down the Miata for the Exocet. I'm currently working on the AC unit right now. I'm removing these hard lines. You definitely want to have these properly evacuated, preferably when the car is running, so you can take it to a specialist. In my case, I had to search and search and search to find somebody to make sure it was clear. Finally found somebody to take care of it, so just make life easy for yourself and get it done before the car's torn apart. With those hard lines out of the way, now I can move along to the belt system. So I was going to loosen these up so I can get down to the AC compressor below, as I'm definitely not going to be using that. Loosen up those top and bottom bolts in order to give the belt system a little bit more slack. So I'm unsure if I genuinely just lucked out with the crank position for this bolt access here. I would check to make sure. I'm sure there is a way to crank it. I'm very glad I didn't have to figure that out. But you'll need to get in there. Barely. Welcome to Musical Whiplash, and the next bolt we'll have to remove. It's going to be just to the left of the headers here. You'll probably need an extension like I did. It'll be a little tricky getting around that header there, but it will come off with a little bit of a lean and maybe some PB blaster. Ooh, I see some seals in my future, but for now, I'm just going for the bolts on the AC compressor. Some are hard to find, but here are 3 of the ones you're looking for. Just give me one. One good song. Why? Thankfully, I finally found a good song and was able to start the removal on the AC compressor. Something to watch out for is a little bit of wiring that's kind of wrapped around in this area. Just make sure it's out of the way before you drop everything. You don't want to accidentally break it. This part was a little obnoxious. You can reach your arm through the front of the car. You can reach your arm over like I'm doing here. Either way, unless you have a much longer wingspan than I do, which you might, it's going to be kind of a pain. But there it is. Okay. Now we can move on to the compressor bracket because, frankly, it's just dead weight. You can see the 4 bolts here and one very, very oily one hidden in filth. Order up. How was your service? Good Lord, it's a long bolt. In all its filthy glory. It's not light either. Once you've removed that, you'll want to place a long bolt back into this hole so nothing goes in there. Well, it finally happened. I dropped my 12. It belongs to the spiders now. So much easier if you twist it sideways. I'm leaving that joke alone. Anyway, now we can remove the hoses on the inside to release some of the other components on the opposite side of the firewall. I wasn't wrong. Alley-oop. Hey! Now you should be able to wiggle the heater core out, but be careful. You'll see why. Alright. Very exciting. Yay! Whoa, that's cool. At this point, my ADD dictated that I need to work back on the wiring harness, so here I am, removing the clutch pedal. That'll get everything out of the way, but who could have possibly foreseen that something else could be holding it in place? It's a connector. Of course it's a connector. It's always a connector. Alright, and there's the clutch. At this point, we're removing the pedal assembly that includes the brake and accelerator pedals. So you'll just take off those remaining bolts and wiggle this out. And at some point here, I'm going to realize I don't remember exactly what went where. So I'm curious to see how I reconnect this later. A problem for another time. Too, so that's good. Alright. Hopefully this doesn't get tangled in anything. Especially wiring. Don't want that. Alright, wasn't so bad. Woohoo! And ADD strikes again. Though in my defense, getting to these bolts and blasting them with some PB Blaster now, good idea. Awful. So rusty. Ugh. Yikes. Unattractive. Wow. No wonder my car sounded like a fart machine. There's a straight up hole right at the header. That's hilarious. Bah, bah. Hope there aren't any electrical components over there because I'm just spraying away. Oh. Missed it. Where were we? Oh yeah, now we can remove some of this nasty insulation along the way. I think this is noise canceling or some sort of heat shield. I don't know, it's gross. Toss it or sell it if someone will buy it. Somebody buy it. Now that we've finally moved everything else out of the way, we can finally start removing this wiring harness. Very, very carefully. What was it my dad was always saying? Do as I say, not as I do? I don't know. I never listened to him. But I love him a lot. Now with everything else out, you're probably realizing, crap, my hood release lever is still stuck in this, along with, you know, your gloves, maybe, I don't know, if you're not a pro or something, whatever. But regardless, you'll need to remove that from the front and just kind of feed this through the cables, once again, very carefully. At this point, I'm just unplugging anything I can from the engine bay, anything I can visually spot that says, hey, I can be out of the way, move me aside. Pretty straightforward. Headlight motors are also great to get out of the way. It's just one more component you can put up for sale to kind of recoup the cost of the kit. With everything detached at the front of the engine bay, you can finally pull this part of the wiring harness through the firewall. Now, as you'll see, you'll have to be very delicate. You gotta go back and forth a lot. Make sure you're not tugging on anything that's gonna snap. Just be sure you know where everything is. Pull it gently, and it'll come through. Just give it time. One half of that. Yep. Almost done. Oh my god! Ah. Holy crap. Oh, that took all day. Yeah. That's actually crazy. Whew. Okay, they were not lying. That's a lot of wires. Okay. With the harness out of the way, I was able to remove the steering column in what I think might be an unconventional way. I wasn't able to remove it with the rubber housing on, so I had to pull that off and basically chop it in half so I could push the steering column through the firewall. I don't think I'm going to need this later. I don't recall us ever using it in our builds at the shop, but I'll report back if I do. As you move throughout the engine bay, you'll find yourself noticing things that are easily removable, like the wiper motor here. You're going to take off those 3 bolts, and once you get those out of the way, you're going to notice a weird little ball bearing joint here that you're going to have to pop off. I assume you'll want to resell this, so you're going to want to be delicate with it. Brick stuff. What did you literally just say? Once again, my mind works on whatever it wants to work on, so now I had to go back to the tank and remove the rear gas tank cover. Ooh-wee. Alright, okay, I should have removed this a long time ago to ensure no charges remained throughout the car, but I hate working on anything electrical, especially batteries. They scare me to death. I know it's dumb. It's not going to kill me. Trevor and Jose can vouch. They've laughed at me many times, but for the record, I was very brave and handled this all on my own. I know it won't kill me, but I just hate it. But I did it. How do I pull off these wire things? I'm out. With the battery now out of the way, I was able to separate the wiring harness from the antenna, which was thankfully pretty straightforward here. I only had a single connection. That might not be the case for you. I think this was like a custom radio setup. I couldn't get my antenna out. It was stuck, so I just had to feed this through. I left this upper tank area alone for a while, but now you can pry this off and start feeding those connectors through the openings. And now the great wiring harness shuffle of 2019 commences. At this point you can see me getting stuck on the left side of the tank here, and that's actually because I had to go up under the rear passenger wheel well in order to disconnect the rest of the wiring harness and pull it through underneath. Now there were a few more bolts that this was still attached to up underneath. You kind of have to get in there really good. They're surprisingly tight. Crack those loose and then you can pull that down below and separate it from the tub. I'm telling you, this is how everything in my life goes. But that's it for now. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Part 4 will come up. That'll be the process of separating the tub from the power plant frame. I'm really excited. We're getting close. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.
That's why you wear gloves, folks.